Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Going Dark podcast. This chop is 23, the Michael Jordan episode, and it wouldn't
Yes, sir.
be what is this, a coincidence? We bring on the man, the myth, the legend, BlameTruth.
How's it
There he
going?
is.
How's it going?
We
Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
we were talking for I think we have like a list of like 5 to 10 people that we wanted to have on like when we first started this, like what, 6 months ago?
Mhm.
And you were definitely on the higher end of the list, so I really appreciate it. I've been watching your stuff for it's been a good while. I think the one memory I have is 2019 with the Doors and the Joe Seasot and the whole like that. I mean, that just is ingrained in my head. So I've been watching for a good bit, so I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I actually found you, I think, through just the Twitter algorithm, I think it was.
Love that.
Just
Thank you,
I think you were
Elon.
doing something with the I can't remember what it was, like
Special
buying
editions.
every
Special
yes,
editions.
that might have been it, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
But Chop, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I've seen a lot of your videos, Anthony. I've a little bit less familiar with the backlog of your content. But I guess I wanted to start by asking you. I want to know a little bit about like your, because I know you've been around for probably longer than me on YouTube as well. And I guess I just want to ask a little bit for my own sake and for everybody listening, like a bit of your story about where you got to where you are now on YouTube and a bit of your journey.
Um the best way to put it is back in 2007, uh I had just graduated and I did not know what I wanted to do. And I had a girlfriend at the time who was not a fan of me playing video games. So I ended up like breaking up with her. And then to just kind of spite her, I was like, maybe I should like record this and just, I don't know why. I saw a few people
Mhm.
on YouTube recording Gears of War and Halo and stuff, making montages. I'm like, what if I just start recording, making montages, all that stuff? Started out recording off a VHS tape because I'm that old.
Wow.
Like it was like a what was the thing called? Dazzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm I'd record off a VHS tape from it like into a Dazzle, and that's how I got my stuff onto YouTube. Uh, Upgraded as a year passed, and then just realized I was pretty good at COD 4 when that came out. I was playing Halo and Gears. Started with that. I realized I was pretty good at COD 4, and I'm like, what if I just upload like random gameplay, see what happens? And then that led to someone suggesting commentary on that. And then that led to Machinima contacting me, which that's a name probably no one knows anymore. But 2009, I think it was. And then it just went from there. I've honestly never been remotely professional. I've never had a plan, and I've just been winging it for like this long, honestly.
That
So
So when did you start? I guess like before YouTube content. Like how long were you had been playing games beforehand? Before
oh,
the actual
since I was like 3,
nice.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad brought home an NES with Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda, and I think it was Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. What were the 3 games he got?
Mhm.
And that was for Christmas or my birthday when I was around 3-ish.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So
yeah.
you've been playing for a long time. I have a similar story, I guess. So when I was quite young, when I was in kindergarten, like you take those tests where they give you a bunch of letter. It's like an eye exam. They want to see like to the lowest line you can read just to gauge your eyes. Well, I
Mhm.
like bombed it terribly, and my mom thought that I was just like being annoying in school. But she took me to the eye doctor, and it turns out that I was born with a detached retina, and they
sheesh.
had no clue my whole life.
Hmm.
So the doctor recommended that I put an eye patch over my good eye and then play video games using my bad eye. And so I end up getting like a Game Boy and stuff like at a very, very young age. So, um, yeah, similarly, I'd been playing video games for a very long time for circumstances that were like not
I
not
didn't
clear at the
I
time.
didn't know
But
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a detached retina in my right eye pretty much my whole life.
So I want to ask you too, because I'm 2010 graduated, so we're
Mhm.
kind of in the same ballpark.
hmm
I was in the same vibe as you. I was a big Halo guy.
Yeah.
And then COD 4 just comes out and smacks me right in the face. And then World at War comes out and smacks me
Oh
even
yeah.
more in the face. So
Mhm.
like what like I guess what made you go from like a Halo guy to a COD guy? I mean, I know there's the default answers of what happened, but like was there something that really clicked?
Um, I actually went from first it was Gears actually, so like because that I got the Xbox for Christmas, which was 2006, and it was Gears was the big new shooter, and I played that and I loved the just the the gore and the like the machismo of that, I guess, that game.
Yeah.
And then Halo comes out and I'd never played Halo. So I try Halo out and it's very different than Gears. It's not gory, but the connections are better and like it's more polished overall. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love this. I love that arena style map or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
um of Halo and whatnot in the theater." I mean, Halo 3 still I think is the best Halo. And then COD 4 comes out, and I'm like, I was really blessed to live in a time where three amazing shooters came out
Mhm.
within a year,
Mhm.
of each other. It was crazy. So I played COD 4's campaign. I'd actually played COD 3, I think, before that, and then COD like the campaign, and then COD 2. I played that on a like one of those demo displays in a Walmart in the
Oh
gaming
yeah.
section.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I played a little bit of that, but the World War II stuff never really stuck with me, and I think it was the modern feel of Call of Duty 4 that really hit home. That and the multiplayer had the perk system, and I thought that was super inventive because it's like an RPG almost. Like you can build your character, and then you can go through the prestiges, and it's like leveling up. So they stuck in that RPG kind of addictiveness into a shooter, and there was no ranked back then. So like Halo and I don't think Gears had ranked, but it may have had ranked, but I know Halo definitely did. And so me and my friends will switch it off between like ranked and social and
Yep.
Halo. And in COD 4, it is just, whatever. So I'm like, oh, it's just one less matchmaking thing. So let's just play this then. And it was like a mix between ranked and social in a way because of the prestige. So it was
Mhm.
just, I don't know. This is good. This is
So
really good.
so I'll it sounds from what you're describing like, there was a point in time where you loved Call of Duty and as
Yeah.
all we and incredibly passionate about it and in some ways probably still are.
Mm.
And I would say that a lot of the internet probably knows you for not being God's biggest fan at the moment. Or haven't been for quite some time. So I guess like what I'm curious about just because I don't know is like when do you feel like that started changing for you from the point where you're like I love Call of Duty to growing more um distasted by it.
So before it would be like, it's like when Modern Warfare 2 came out. I remember not being like a huge fan of that, like the original one,
The
the
original one.
2009. Yeah, and that might shock people, but like,
I'm just
you know, I,
I've said that to
yeah,
Chop. I after coming off World at War, dude, I did
hmm
not care for that game right away.
I like the COD 4 World at War style
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
and I play MLB too, and at first I'm not a huge fan of it, but then I kind of realized, well, it's just crazy. It's like completely like they did a bunch of cocaine before they made the game or something at Infinity Ward. I don't know. Watched a few Max Payne cutscenes, and then we're like, okay, let's make this crazy. So I started to appreciate it a little bit, but then there was that big lawsuit back in 2009 with
Mhm.
or 2010 with Infinity Ward and Activision. And for those who don't know, like half of Infinity Ward got fired essentially, or quit, or both, whatever. Uh, and they were supposed to put out a balance patch to stop the one man army noob tubes in that game. And when that lawsuit happened, nobody could talk to us, the consumer. And we had this big campaign at the time, all the content guys. We were tweeting at Robert Bowling, please make the noob tube occupy the first perk slot. If you search that phrase on Twitter, you should be able to find stuff from that still from 2010 or whatever.
Mhm.
And he couldn't talk about it because it's like a NDA thing.
Yeah.
So he's just stuck there getting those requests. He can never, they can never, Infinity War can never release that update. And I think that was the first time I'm like, man, Activision really sucks. Like that's just they're fucking over the players. Can I curse on here?
Go
If I
ahead.
can't,
That's
sorry.
fine.
Let it
Okay.
fly.
They're fucking over the players. You know, they're fucking over Infinity Ward at the time. And like that was the first honest to God moment where I'm like, this company kind of sucks. Like that's just not right. As the years progressed, they made up for it with Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1 and MW3. I loved all those. Um,
One thing I want to ask you about MW3 is like,
mhm.
and given the lawsuit, like that was
That was the patch.
the battle between Infinity
Yeah,
Ward and
it was.
Activision was kind of the the whole thing is of why they had to pull Sledgehammer in to finish the game.
Mhm.
Personally, I don't like MW3 as much. I think it's the weakest of like the original Modern Warfare trilogy, and I think a lot of that is because of the like chaos of the lawsuits and legal battles and whatnot. So despite that, do you still like feel like you're a fan of Modern Warfare 3 and
Oh,
sort of that era of Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, 2, and that kind of time period?
I'm gonna say something shocking. I actually liked MW3 better than COD 4 even.
Wow.
I
Whoa.
Why is that?
because when that game came out, I remember playing MW2 and I'm like, man, if this game was just patched, like it'd be so good, And
Mhm,
then,
mhm.
like T Dog said, like it's that game was the patch
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
but with all new maps, which at first I wasn't a huge fan of the maps, but as I played more, I'm like, I actually really like these. They play a little different, but I actually prefer them to MW2's maps, which is again maybe a weird opinion, but no, the more I played, I'm like at first it looks like a DLC of MW2, but then the more I played, I'm like, this is actually really good. I wonder what the secret sauce is, and it had to be Moabs
Yeah.
being like gun only to
Mhm.
get that, and then the specialist bonus stuff with the earning your perks as you like advance.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
there's been nothing more satisfying in any COD than the specialist bonus, getting all the perks at once, all the proficiencies at once, and being like a super soldier on a streak. Nothing's come close to that as far as being fun for me in COD, honestly. Like that's
Okay.
the most fun thing.
I,
I think I got
that
like 50 Moabs in that 50 some Moabs in that game.
if
Just
if I'm ever asked, or if I've ever asked somebody what their favorite COD is and they say MW3, not saying that that's your favorite COD, but when they say MW3, they literally say that exact phrase right there. That
mhm.
they can do all that, feel like a super soldier, get the Moabs, just grinding those all the time. It's always the answer I get. I think another thing I liked about MW3, I will give it credit, is the 2v2 mode and the 3v3 mode face off. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Me and my brother would play that so much and just get two other, dudes probably that are friends or brothers and just, I mean, we would kind of smack them up a little bit, which was kind of fun. But another mode that like never really it went away for, I mean, I guess you can consider gunfight that mode now, but that
Mhm.
mode hasn't been back since that game.
Yeah, no, it really hasn't. And I mean, I remember like even what's something that hasn't been brought back really from that game? The
Um,
proficiency thing, I guess, could be tied to like gunsmith and whatnot, or just like another perk. But I don't know that it just
Different type of
everything came together.
streaks,
Yeah,
specialists, support.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, like you could pick your streaks. You could go support. You could go assault or specialist. They haven't really brought that back to my knowledge, unless I'm missing something.
Mhm.
But
I would agree with you that Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 3, is like a more technically proficient game
mhm.
than Modern Warfare 2. Although I still haven't been able to feel like I find Modern Warfare 3 more fun. I totally agree where I think it's an overall superior game from like a technical and balance perspective, 100%. But
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it just feels derivative or something. But I always felt MW3 was a bit less fun than Modern Warfare 2 to me. Um,
MW3 is a bit derivative. It's I think at the time the game would crash on PCs, and when it did, it would say something about Modern Warfare 2 has crashed, so it was still using the
it's almost
MW2.
like that's what
Yeah.
has happened
Yeah, we
last year
talked
too.
about that in another episode, how that's
Mhm.
it's very funny how that history repeats itself.
Yeah, it definitely does. No, I think if they went with the balance patch with the Women Army noob tubes and just fix that at least, I think I would have preferred MW2, or
Mhm.
at least not even give. I
That could
wouldn't
have
have
changed
given
the course of COD history, honestly.
that. That
Like,
would have changed a lot of things for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But around MW2 actually was when I wasn't a huge fan of Activision because I didn't like how they treated Infinity Ward at the time. I didn't like how they treated the players at the time with that. It was just, I mean, the devs branched off and made Respawn, which make Apex and
Yeah.
Titanfall and all that.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Have you
but
been?
after,
Were you a fan of those games at all? Of the stuff that Respawn put out?
no, I tried Titanfall 1.
Yeah.
Not really for me. BRs, I'm just not big on anyway. So Apex, I tried that as well. Just not really for me. So I heard Titanfall 2 was good, but I didn't give it a chance after one. I'm just not a fan of that style, I guess.
I know it sounds crazy, but I was really excited for Titanfall, and I know the entire game, the premise of the game is to fight with the Titans. I
Mm,
was always looking for the mode that was like a pilot versus pilot, which I know it didn't even come out with right away.
yeah.
So that kind of hurt it for me. I thought it was a decent game, and I think it's kind of funny too that I felt like that Call of Duty was chasing them after.
Yeah,
They made
definitely.
Titanfall, then here comes the jetpack era, and then Apex, and here comes a Warzone era. So I do think the people that left Infinity Ward and made Respawn are definitely kind of like ahead of the curve or make the curve themselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm kind of the same boat. I tried both Titanfall 1 and 2. The campaign of Titanfall 2 is actually good. If you
Mhm.
ever try that, that's actually I will give it that.
Okay.
So you feel like your distaste for like Activision really started beginning in Modern Warfare 2, and did that just did that sort of amplify throughout the years, even despite maybe a good Call of Duty game coming out here and there? Did that just kind of progressively continue as COD would go throughout the years and leading closer to where we are in like modern day?
Yeah, so when Ghost came out, that was a really bad one.
Yes, it was.
Uh,
Phew.
and then Advanced Warfare, I wasn't a fan of either. So I actually just stopped my main channel for a bit and made a second channel where I played competitive Pokemon and competitive Hearthstone and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And then that's how bad COD got at the time. At the time, if only I knew. But yeah, I didn't like those two. And then Black Ops 3 came out, and that reeled me back in. I thought Black Ops 3 was incredible. I
Yeah.
love that game. Uh, but back in the day, like if those two games came out, the Ghosts and Advanced Warfare, and I just didn't like them, I just wouldn't play them. I had to go do something else. Black Ops
Yeah.
3 though sucked me back in. Thought it was great. And then Infinite Warfare came out, and that's when I really got pretty upset about that because they bundled it. Like the only way you could get MWR remastered was by spending like what was the price? Do you guys remember
It
it?
was like 100,
$80?
wasn't it? Was it?
100?
Let me double check.
It
Yeah.
might have been 80. It might have been 80 because it was I think eventually they made MWR like 40 by itself,
Mm-hmm.
but you got the discount for buying it with
Both.
yeah, buying it both.
They
Which
basically
I
knew
did,
the
by the
game
way.
would fail.
They got me.
Looks like it.
They got me.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to be playing COD 4 the entire year, and I wasn't going to be playing
Right.
IW, and I'm like, okay, well,
That
maybe
was
I'll
such
try IW for a little bit, but it's going to be COD 4.
the loot box thing they were doing at the time was pretty not good. And I didn't like that, but I'm like, well, it's like it's whatever. If you make a good game, I'll look past it. But then Infinite Warfare came out, and I'm like, I don't think it was necessarily a bad game. It just felt redundant. Felt like
Yeah, yeah.
felt like Black Ops 2.5 or something.
Yeah.
After playing 3. And that's when I realized like this yearly release thing kind of sucks. Like, why not just release MWR? Like, were you sitting on this just because you knew this game would fail? You know what I mean? So I didn't like that. I thought that was a really bad move. And then COD World War II from Sledgehammer. Thought that game was terrible.
We start
It-
entering the dark ages here.
It
Yeah, I mean,
was, yeah.
Yeah, they're like boots on the ground, and then like I'm
You
like,
remember the
well,
marketing for that game? It was literally boots on the ground, bring the boys back.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, and I remember booting it up, and like I think it was the beta, and I got the paratroopers or whatever, which is a pretty cool streak, right?
Yeah.
In theory, and I get the paratroopers, and they're most of them just have shovels. I remember they didn't have guns, and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
That's so
It's
weird.
just- and I got like 3 kills with it. This big streak got like 3 kills in a public match. I'm like, this.
Those I
No,
remember those streaks really
Yeah.
struggling in that game. I
they
think
they eventually fixed that. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that was the complete overhaul that happened.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, once
the game
Condry
was
and Schofield left.
Schofield
So
left. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Once
So
the game got overhauled, I heard it was better. It left a bad taste in my mouth, so
did you ever go to
that
Fortnite during that era?
no.
No.
I tried Fortnite and uh not only do I not like BR, but like the art
just the
style.
is not your vibe. Did
Yeah.
okay, well, I know you
Nah.
don't like BR, but so like during that World War II era,
Mm.
I didn't go to Fortnite either, but a game that I was playing quite a lot of was PUBG. I don't know if you ever played that. But that was like to me
Yeah.
that felt like the Fortnite away from Fortnite. If that
Mhm.
wasn't your vibe, it was a very different kind of aesthetic, and I loved PUBG. I
Yeah.
don't know if that was something you ever got interested in, but at the time that World War II was out, I pretty much like checked out of COD.
Mhm.
I was doing PUBG like for years, and I don't know if that was something you ever got interested in yourself.
No, I played PUBG for like I'm about to check my Steam, but I think it's like 2 hours or something like that. I just
Yeah,
something about BR, man. I can't. I'm too old school, I guess. I It's like when X Defiant came out, people were saying like, we need to make this a BR. I'm like, please, God, just
no.
don't. Just, please, no. Like,
Okay,
I
so
want, yeah.
do you? I think the thing about our podcast is that Tyler is very much like a multiplayer guy
Mhm.
and also Warzone, and I'm primarily like a zombies guy. Do you have any interest in zombies? Like, did you play zombies much in the older games, or is that just not something that you've delved into that much?
I thought zombies in World at War being like a secret mode was the
Hmm.
coolest. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Hmm.
Played a ton of that, just the first map, Nocturne Totem. Uh, then as they progressed it, stuck with it up until about Black Ops 2. I don't even really know much about Black Ops 2 Zombies. I played a little bit of it, but I was mainly playing multiplayer because multiplayer was so good.
Sure.
So every time I played Black Ops 2 was like all multiplayer.
Okay.
Uh, After that, I didn't play it much in Black Ops 3 either, just because I love the multiplayer. There's a theme.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, um, and then in BO4, I also just played the multiplayer pretty
Well,
much.
that's
So,
the thing is like if you were to, it would be so jarring if you were like didn't if you played maybe a bit in like Black Ops 1 and then you would hop back into zombies in Black Ops 4, it would have been the
mm,
worst time to do so.
yeah,
Um,
and I did hop back into it in Cold War because I hated the multiplayer of Cold War.
sure.
So I played a lot of Cold War Zombies. I liked it quite a bit. I think I got like 150 hours in it. It was
Mhm.
good. This game, Zombies, Black Ops 6 Zombies, I think I'm burned out from Cold War because it's not really grabbing me. I keep trying to play it, and it's just kind of like it's just something I do when I don't want to play multiplayer, which is all the time. So I just,
Sure.
yeah, it's just So I like zombies a lot. It's just I'm more of a casual, I guess.
I see. I
I
see.
kind of
So,
I'm with you. I faded as well, I always say Black Ops 3 was kind of the one that made me fade a little bit. The first map is
Mhm.
great. And then I felt like I went back to one of them and I was like in this dark ether, and Chop always laughs at me because it's like just all I'm like, what in the world am I in right now? I think
hmm
if you go back to that after playing like Black Ops 2 Zombies, you're like, whoa, what happened?
hmm yeah.
Same thing with their campaign, by the way, BO3. Chop loves that BO3 campaign secretly,
I don't know
but
if I love it.
okay, okay.
It's interesting. I don't know if I don't know if I love it or even like it, but it's definitely the most interesting campaign.
I tried to play it. I tapped out,
I tapped
actually.
out too. I tapped
Yeah.
out too.
Do you play mini campaigns? Um,
Not since I'll be honest with you, the last one I played, and I need to play the Black Ops campaigns at least, but like the last one I played was actually MW3, the OG.
really?
Yeah, because like what would happen is the games would come out, and I'm known for multiplayer,
Yeah.
so I'm like I got to start grinding multiplayer, and then by the time I get ready to play the campaign, it's like I don't have time because the next COD's out.
Right.
So there's no
Okay.
break, and I liked how they did the early release campaign recently, but they stopped doing that.
Mhm.
So it gives
So
content creators.
you've not played the Black Ops 1 campaign?
I played a little bit of it, and I watched a buddy play through it.
I see. Okay.
But I didn't play. I need to go back because it's been what 14 years, so I remember basically nothing. I need to play at least the Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 campaigns, I think.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, I love the COD Force campaign. I think that's my favorite. Maybe that's outdated, but that campaign was that's what got me into the whole thing. The
Mhm.
all gillied up mission,
Oh
especially.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I would recommend playing Black Ops 1 and 2. Those
Okay.
are some of the best like Call of Duty single player experiences I think you could have.
For sure.
But
Mhm.
we'll leave that for now. I wanna talk to you a little bit about X Defiant because I know you've been very very pro X Defiant and you really like what they're doing over there. So if you could enlighten us a little bit about like what you think is going on over there and maybe potentially what they're doing right that COD's been missing.
Uh, I think the big issue, big criticism is that it's just not like complete. Like it's not like a complete game. It's live
X
service.
Defiant isn't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like if you're someone like me who just plays multiplayer, it is great because you're just gonna want to play for the gameplay. Um, and when I started playing games, we didn't have all the fluff, all the content drops every month. We were lucky to get like 2 map packs a year.
Yeah.
So content always comes second to core gameplay,
Sure. Agreed.
and they've been I don't know, since the game's come out, I have just really enjoyed the core gameplay. Any change they've made, balance wise, I think it's the right call. The game is a little dead right now because of Black Ops 6, especially. But with season 3, what I've heard, and I think I can say this, they're doing an Assassin's Creed themed season. With That's gonna be the new faction. So to me, X Defiant, since it's made by X, COD people, it
Yeah.
feels like best way I can put it. It feels like a Call of Duty. It feels like Call of Duty stopped making games after Black Ops 4, and then this is the next COD game after
Yeah.
4,
Mm,
like the
I see.
actual sequel. It's the different direction, of course. It's not the exact same, but
So
just the
what do
way
you
it
think
plays.
about like it seems like X Defiant's approach to making a game was to uh like pick off disgruntled COD players. Like that was kind of
They,
their entire goal. And so, when Black
yeah.
Ops 6 comes out and then the game is a little bit dead. Do you think that that's an inherent flaw in their strategy to try to make their whole game specifically about picking off like unhappy COD players instead of like, hey, we're just making our own game and it'll maybe garner its own community apart from there might be some COD players, but we're not. It seems like they were actively targeting, hey, if you hate what Call of Duty's doing, come check out what we got over here, like specifically. Do you think that that strategy is inherently flawed, or do you think that was kind of what has led to the success that they've had?
Well, if you look at maybe not every, but if you look at a lot of live service games or shooters that come out, a lot of them come out and they miss the mark or they don't gain traction. The finals has really struggled up until this last season, and I don't know if it's even doing great. You know,
Hmm.
uh, same with stuff like Titanfall. Like everybody's like, Titanfall multiplayer is so good. Like, dude, Titanfall 2 released like DOA. That game was just DOA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I knew
They
nobody
didn't
that
plan
played
that
it.
one right too. What was it in between Battlefield and
Hmm.
what was the other? What was the COD of that year? Was it World War II?
Go. Yeah, World War II, I think.
Hmm.
It was like the Fortnite, World War II, Battlefield. It was like, man, they
It
never
wasn't,
got a fair
yeah,
shake with
was
that one.
not wasn't time well. I knew nobody that bought it. Even people that bought Titanfall 1 and
Yeah.
played that, no, I knew nobody that was playing it. So a lot of these games like you got to have a niche, you got to have a gimmick. And for when a game comes out and it's like no SBMM, no manipulation, um we're going to focus on just like arcadey multiplayer gunplay and stuff like that. Like even if you don't like X Defiant, I think the best thing it's done is that I can boot up the game, I can hit play, play now, throw into a match in like 5 seconds, play whatever, you know.
Hmm.
And it's just I don't have to. It's not like I don't have to worry about doing too well. I'm gonna get punished. I don't have
Sure.
to worry about my connection being. I get a consistent like 20, 30 ping. Every single lobby. Um, Play with my friends, no issues. They could be good, bad, anything in between. It's just we play. It's nothing. It's not
Mhm, mhm.
nefarious. It's not trying to, you know,
It's not manipulative.
yeah, it's not trying to casino me, I guess.
Yeah. I want to
But
ask you
yeah.
this because I'm curious what you think about this. So I've always had this thought that games as they let's say die off,
Mhm.
they kind of slowly cannibalize themselves to where like the only people remaining in in a small group are like the most dedicated, the most
Yeah.
hardcore. And do you feel like X Defiant recently, because it's kind of contracted a little bit player count wise, like
Mhm.
has the game felt sweaty? Like, because I would assume that the people, for the most part, still playing X Defiant are probably the most dedicated and like good players. So it might
Uh,
end up feeling like a COD lobby just because like the casuals, let's say, of X Defiant are on Call of Duty right now. So do you feel like the cannibalization of the player base has made the lobbies in X Defiant feel more sweaty in turn?
Honestly, no.
Really?
If anything, so I played yesterday, and I played 3 matches in a row where it was 3 dom games in a row, and 2 I lost because my team just sucked, but I was playing solo. 1 we handily won, we like dominated them, and it was interesting because my performance in every single match was pretty much identical. Like, and this was all different people. X Defiant doesn't have it has the same lobby disbanding thing, which I think they're gonna fix and make it stay like you could stay in the lobby or whatever next season.
Hmm.
But lobbies would disband, new lobby, fresh lobby, and like my performance each like I have very consistent performance in that, and I find that most matches are regardless of who wins, whether it's a close game, not a close game, win or lose. I find that there is usually it feels like old school Call of Duty. There's usually one guy
Yeah.
on if you're playing solo, there's one guy on the enemy team and then one guy on my team, which is usually me, where we're just kind of going at it. We're the 2 best in the lobby, and we're trying to carry these like people who are mid to not good. If anything, I've seen more not good people in the game.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
I guess because either they don't like BO6 and XFi it's free, so they're checking it out, or I have no idea. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
they're fans of, one of the Ubisoft games in the universe or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's if anything, it's maybe the skills have skewed. There's less average players, and there's maybe more bad and good, so it still
Okay.
evens out if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, I
yeah.
see.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've always thought about that, and I was like, because that going back to PUBG for a second, that was something that happened, and I watched it happen to that game in real
Mhm.
time. As the game began to bleed players just naturally over time, the
Mhm.
player base that was left, like there would be near the end of my like PUBG career, every lobby that I would get, you can see the kill feed of who's in it, and it would be either a pro player or a streamer.
I
Like
did
those.
match.
Yeah.
I did match with a pro player on X Defiant. He's a buddy of mine actually.
Mhm.
I was like first game of the night. I hop in this match and this dude just melts me, and I'm like, what the hell? And I check, and it's this guy who's played like 1,000 hours of X Defiant, ex
Mhm.
Fortnite pro,
Sure.
god tier aim. And then also on the enemy team, there's like a dude that's level 400, which I played a lot of X Defiant. I'm not even level 200, so I'm like, I thought they were in a party, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm just gonna back out. Like I have no chance.
Mhm.
And then I messaged him like, "Hey man, I don't know why it matched me with like you guys because you're at a party." X Defiant has party-based matchmaking, so you won't match with a
Like a
full
solo if
part.
you're a party.
Yeah, if you're
Whoa. Hmm.
solo, you only match with. I think the biggest party I've ever faced in one go, and I checked this on Twitch because this guy was streaming was 3 people.
Okay.
Okay.
It tries to stick with like parties of 1 or 2. Um, so that's also more forgiving because in COD you are, you know, you
You
face a
you
full
you
party.
load into Nuketown solo and you're playing against a 6 stack. You're
Oh,
like,
Yeah,
it's the
there.
worst.
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
I
There's also IBMM, so you can pick controller only, not like console.
yeah.
I guess matchmaking, console-based matchmaking, but like controller-based matchmaking, mouse and keyboard-based matchmaking, etc. So that also helps.
Interesting.
I
Mhm.
really like the matchmaking. That's the best part of the game. So marketing that as like your main thing when you do it so much better is the winning strategy. I think to answer the original question.
I
But yeah.
I actually got on X Defiant the other day, honestly, because I booted up my Xbox and it was there
Mm.
sitting, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play a couple games. It genuinely does feel good, and it is a good game. I am just so sad that I feel like if they would have released that bad boy in during MW2,
Mhm.
it would have been. I honestly believe it would have been a game that people are still playing like heavily right now. Not that they're not playing it now, but like I think for me personally, I probably would have done. I would have switched to X Defiant content during MW2 because I tell Chop this. I was thinking about doing like weightlifting content. I mean, that's how bad MW2 was. Like,
Oh man, it
oh
was
my gosh, I can't even talk about it. It makes me sick thinking about it.
dude,
And
that Vanguard to MW2 period,
oh,
The dark ages, man.
like I didn't think it could get worse. I didn't think it could get worse.
but
And
even
they
MW3, like it didn't push it again to the like
mhm.
it just didn't do enough again either. So we honestly, that's why I've been so excited about Black Ops 6 is it feels like it's the first COD since Cold War MW19 where I've actually played it more than 30 minutes and then quit. I mean, I would love to know my playtime in MW2. It's probably 6 hours. Not even kidding. Like,
It's funny you say I think it's the only game since MW 2019 that has released finished. Truthfully.
Yeah.
It's the
that's
only game.
that's sad.
Uh, and yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can say. It's
We've
been
not had, like complaints about Black Ops. Oh, this game's unfinished. Like
mhm.
like again, from a zombies perspective, when Vanguard came out, that zombies mode didn't even have Pack-a-Punch camos.
Yeah.
It
Like
just
that's how unfinished it was. It was unbelievable. So
I they need to do studies because how that game still was like number one that year for sales,
I
it
don't
is
think it will.
mind.
I think Elden Ring beat
Did it?
Vanguard that year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
The fact that it's even top
But the fact
10
that it was even close is crazy.
Did you
is
play
mind-boggling.
MW2?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah.
So okay, so
Oh,
which game you have to play it? Vanguard or MW2? There's
Vanguard.
one game left.
Vanguard.
Okay.
Vanguard, I will
You
give
like
Vanguard this.
Sledgehammer, I believe, from your videos.
Not until MW3. I
Okay,
didn't like
okay.
Sledgehammer. But I didn't know. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have it on good authority. Vanguard was literally made, and I'm not kidding, in like 9 months.
I believe
Um,
it.
Well, wasn't that didn't we talk
Black
about
Ops
this
3 was made in like 9 months.
wasn't that supposed to be AW2 and they like that was the whole thing with like no, you're not doing that type of situation?
maybe I think what the original thing was like I could be getting this wrong and getting wires crossed, but I think like it was either Treyarch or I think it was the other way around. I think Treyarch were making Cold War, but then the pandemic messed stuff up, so they hired or they had Sledgehammer kind of come in and help, and Raven as well. But Sledgehammer and Raven weren't seeing eye to eye, so then something like that.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff going on behind the scenes I don't know about, but I just know that when Cold War released, I remember thinking the maps felt like Sledgehammer maps, not necessarily Treyarch
The
maps.
the zombies map on Cold War D Machine,
Mhm.
that was a Sledgehammer map.
Yeah,
Like that they were
so
working on something and then Treyarch kind of like came and took it, Treyarch fight it, whatever.
right.
But that original like blueprint was a Sledgehammer map.
Yeah,
That's
So
crazy.
so
I didn't know that.
yeah, it felt like a mix between. It felt well. It was pretty unfinished as well when it released, but like felt like a mixture of those two studios. And I just don't think Sledgehammer had any time from Cold World War II to. I think they were making yeah AW2 and they canned it, and then they're like, "You're gonna make this World War II. You're gonna help Treyarch and then make this World War II game on the MW engine." It
mhm.
was it was bad, but I will give it this. They did have the Blitz mode, with the like 18v18, big map, big team battle thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually really fun. The SBMM was light in that because there's so many players. It'd be matchmaking for ages if it was thicker.
Yeah.
So that was like, I swear to you, that's probably the most fun I've had on COD in any COD in the last like 5 years, and I'm not kidding. Like
Fair
that,
enough.
yeah. So
Yeah.
they did do that well. It's just the game was made in 9 months. Like and they had to duct tape it together as the
Yeah.
year went by. It was just a mess. It's such a mess.
I think it's
Um,
interesting how wildly different in quality games can come out, even having like crunched dev cycles. Like I think
mhm.
World at War was made in like 7 or 8 months.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard that.
yeah.
Black Ops
Mhm,
3 was largely made in 9 months or eight, something like that.
mhm.
Um, and and similarly, like sometimes we have long dev cycles on games and we hate them. Um,
MW2. Yeah.
Oof.
Exactly. So it's there's this kind of misconception I think where it's like because a game has a longer dev cycle, it will automatically be better. I just don't think that's true, and I even
Mm,
think sometimes the reverse is true. I think when they're uh, crunched in the right way, it can really like bring out the best in a studio.
yeah.
I'm
Maybe
not
go with their
advocating for
gut.
like
Everything goes with their
sure,
gut rather than
yeah,
going,
and
oh, maybe we should bring in DMZ.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not advocating for like, inhumane dev work cycles or anything, but I think there's maybe this kind of like studio camaraderie when they gotta, really come together with something in a small amount of time, they can make something great. I think like Black Ops 1 is also a pretty good example of that too. They
Mhm.
had no idea what they were doing until it kind of came together last minute. Um,
I think a
but
big thing with that too is when devs make what they want to make, they can make
sure.
something really good in like 9 months. I don't think Sledgehammer wanted to make a World War II game, again. Um,
Mhm, mhm.
they really
And
wanted to
being
do
told like top
AW2,
down, this is what you have to make,
and
and
you
you
have to make
have
it on,
and you have to
you
make it
know,
quick is like, oh God.
you have to make it on the Infinity Ward engine. You know what I mean? Like it's just all this
Mhm.
stuff. Like they were kind of their hand was kind of forced. Same with MW3, but again for all my negativity, MW3 came together in my opinion, and
Yeah.
I think it's the best COD right now as it stands. I think it's the best Call of Duty to come out in this era
The
after MW
PC era.
2019. Yeah, I
That's
think it's
interesting.
great. Yeah.
That's an interesting take because I think to shift to what I wanted to ask you is that a
Hmm.
lot of people a lot of people tend to think that you are like the most negative guy in town when it comes to COD, and I want to give you like the chance to maybe kind of reach some of these people is like how much of that is like truly like how you feel about the game because as before we started rolling cameras you're like I don't just think about Call of Duty and like shitting on it at every waking moment. How
Yeah.
much of that is like what you feel and how much of that is playing it up a little bit for content because that's the internet like
Um, I think the only reason I've been able to do this as long as I have is because I've always, like, even back in MW2 OG, I'm like, these noob tubes, they gotta go. Like I've always called stuff out. So I think the fact that I've been doing this such a long time, I've always called stuff out, whether it's the popular thing to do or not, is why I'm able to do it. But like, as far as my opinions on everything I say go, it's 100% truthful. Like
mhm,
everything I'm saying, as far as how I feel about the game, is 100% truthful, and I try to back it up with like either facts or strong viewpoints or whatever. Uh, with that said, if I'm talking to a friend about Call of Duty, I'm talking to him about it like you guys. I'm not yelling in a Chili's about it. The funny story actually though, there was MW 2019 when that game came out. I think that was
That
the
was you were on fire during that year,
that
man.
that was the
That
point I
was
think where I kind of was that mad at first because like this is a true story. I was in a Chili's with two friends of mine. MW 2019 had just come out, and I was just complaining about the maps. And I remember saying like I was telling my buddy Josh who didn't get the game. I'm like, dude, no, there's a map. I'm like, it's just Piccadilly. Like it's just
mhm.
they just took a picture of like a street and made it into a map, dude. And he's just like, can't be that bad. I'm like, no, it's that bad. And I'm
Yeah.
getting louder as he's like, talking, ask me about it or whatever. And this waiter, this Chili's waiter who's not waiting on our table, comes by and he's just like, "Are you talking about MW 2019?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Are you talking about Piccadilly?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's just like, "That map is terrible." And I'm like, "Yes, it is." And I'm like, "See?" And me and this waiter had this conversation about how bad the maps
The
are for like,
bonding moment between Piccadilly. Did you I don't know if you
yeah.
saw my tweet the other day. I actually did like I asked what I forget how I worded it, but like pick one of these maps for a 24/7 playlist. It was Piccadilly, Border Crossing, Stonehaven,
oh my god
and
Oh,
Red Card from Black Ops 6.
mm.
And you would, if you're looking to get angry, go visit that. Piccadilly got a lot of votes.
Piccadilly, I think, was fairly popular with
The newer
Search and Destroy.
generation, would you call them?
Well, I was gonna say Search and Destroy players, but yeah, we'll call them the newer generation. The call outs in that game, enemy by the bus would be a
Yeah,
call
by the
out, but
bus,
I'm
by the
like, what?
car, by
There's,
the light.
it's literally a
Huh.
street. Like, yeah. But to answer your question originally, not to get too sidetracked, like the whole yelling and screaming and getting angry and talking about the data and all that stuff. That's just for fun. I'm just having fun.
Mhm.
People seem to enjoy it. So
Yeah, yeah.
I actually I
I
think
think
it's go
you
ahead.
know a reasonable element of like satire to
Yeah.
it, and
yeah,
I think going in watching that content with like because if people take you too literally, I think it's easy to get like just this unbelievably negative perspective of everything. But taking it with the proper satire
hmm
to frame it, I think is perfectly acceptable. What were you going to say, Tyler?
I was just gonna say, I think the coolest thing about I would say that your content in all of the areas of metas and thumbnails, and I always talk about this with Chop. I'm like, he did some video the other day and his thumbnail was so bad, and he knows that I said it was bad. He was bad on purpose. And it's like there's all these metas and challenges and this and that, and you're literally playing a game, no camera, just talking about a game. The thumbnail is usually some image with an arrow or a
Very
yellow
simple.
text. And I'm
Very
like, this
simple. Yeah.
dude is literally taking probably 30 seconds on this thumbnail. And
Mhm.
it just stayed the course. Like it's not what would you call that? Faded. You know, I think a lot of
Overproduced.
people, the commentary, a lot of those people went to do other games, stopped doing it. Like, I think it's kind of crazy how it's kind of just stayed in a straight line, not a straight line, whatever line you want to call it, but I think
Yeah.
that's cool.
It's sort of like going back to wrestling because that's what I base 95% of my content on. Is like, let's pretend I'm a wrestler talking about another wrestler with this game. You know what I mean? Like, let's pretend I'm like Stone Cold and I'm talking about The Rock.
Hmm.
And that's been the big thing that because for a while I wasn't even doing commentary on the channel. I was doing a second channel and doing Twitch and stuff like that. So I was like, if I want to come back and do this, I'm really angry about this game. It sucks. Like, if I come back and do this, I gotta kind of evolve the content. So a lot of people don't know this, but like pre pre Modern Warfare 2019, like my content was mostly positive.
Well,
Uh
you enjoyed Black Ops 4, if I remember correctly, right?
oh,
You and
I stuck up for that game. Yeah,
you
a
you
lot of
and
people didn't like it.
Thunder is who I used to watch it. I used to watch a ton of Thunder. He's kind of faded, unfortunately, because I think COD
Mhm.
finally got to him. But
I think it did. Yeah,
but
I've seen
yeah,
the AI generated thumbnails, and I'm like, oh no.
yeah,
yeah.
he was a big COD or Black Ops 4 guy. He really defended that with his flashlight shotgun. I'm like, there's no way
Mhm.
you're defending that game using that.
I mean, I did the same thing. I love that shotgun.
It's
Uh,
like you would be on the other end of that getting killed by that. I would be
mhm.
raging like crazy.
Um, honestly, that's why I loved it. There was a counter. I think Tac Mask would counter it completely, actually.
Okay.
So, but nobody really knew that. I think because they patched that in. I want to say. So, anytime people were pissing me off in a lobby, and people that watch me live on Twitch can attest, I would switch to that shotgun and just, God, I would get so much hate mail. I should have made a montage of all the Xbox like hate mail messages I got.
Did
But
you ever dive into Blackout?
I played a little bit of Blackouts during the beta of it, and for BR, I think it was the one I played the most. I played it like 5 hours, I think, which is a lot for me. But
Yeah.
for BR, I think it was good.
I love
Like,
that. I loved it. I just love that you
yeah,
had the opportunity to not have a meta. It was like
mhm,
you pick up a gun, you had to find the attachments. It required you to do
It
a
was
little, even if there
sandboxy.
was a meta, you had
mhm.
to find that meta. It wasn't like it's just okay, I'm gonna go to the loadout and buy my gun for 2,500. I don't know. It just
Yeah,
required more. I don't know if I want to say skill, but a little more.
Critical thinking is maybe part of it because I think it was a lot more
yeah,
sandboxy, and
Yeah.
you could
mhm,
use the sandbox in, I think, more creative ways than what Warzone is now, where it's mostly just about gunfighting.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blackouts. I thought it was beautiful too. I thought it was a really nice looking. It was the only BR at the time I thought was nice looking because,
Map was
like Chop
incredible.
Shop, you said like PUBG, was a big
Mhm.
thing, but I always thought that game was maybe it's because
Not a
people play it
pretty
on low
looking game, but
settings.
it's
Yeah,
aesthetically like realistic, but it's not.
right,
I wouldn't call it good looking.
right. There's that, and then there's Fortnite, which is the colors would make me nauseous after a while just watching people play it. Like it's that bad. So uh, I think my girlfriend plays Fortnite. Actually, she sent me this video of these two muscular Peter Griffins. She was playing
Yeah.
it,
Oh man.
and they were hugging at an Eminem concert, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what even is this even a game anymore? Like, what are you guys
I
doing?
question that a
I gotta
lot
be
too with
honest.
Yeah.
I,
Fortnite.
I will admit it to everybody. The early years of Fortnite, I loved it,
Yeah.
but it got to a point where, like you said, it's Peter Griffin hugging another Peter Griffin in front of an Eminem concert, and you're like, what is happening right now? Like, and the store's always another collab, and then like the
Mhm.
Doctor Strange gloves or Doctor Doom gloves are in the game, and you're running
Fortnite is
around, and
the
all of a
biggest
sudden
Marvel ad that Marvel
oh,
has.
it's the biggest Marvel ad of all time, this game. And you get
Mhm.
hit with the gloves and it's regular. It's not like you're in some special mode that it's like, okay, that you can find the gloves in the mode. You're regular, you're hopping into BR duos. And
Mhm.
then the guy can get a glove and laser you. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. So they've lost I mean, obviously they're crushing it, but I feel like they lost the plot for maybe the older generation. I don't know. Maybe I'm one of those guys now screaming at the rooftops, going, back in my day, we would have done this.
It's funny. I think in that game, since it's kind of its own thing. It's its own universe, So I'm like, I feel like it can kind of do whatever it wants and it works. Like, it makes not sense, but let's just say I wasn't surprised to see two muscular Peter Griffins hugging in front of an Eminem concert. I'm like, well, that's Fortnite. I'm not shocked at it.
Their
Uh,
identity is breaking their identity,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. What makes me so upset with COD is that, for example, Cold War. This is kind of a meme I've put on the channel a few times. There's like this video of Vonderhaar talking about how like Cold War is here and it's realistic, plausible, gritty, set in the 80s. And the whole time he's saying this, they've overlaid like these anime bundle skins and like um the express map from Black Ops 2 that they didn't change from like what year did that game take place in, like
2012
2038, 2012? Yeah. No, I mean
or
like
black,
the
yeah, 2025,
yeah,
2025.
yeah, 25. And they've got all this stuff, like they got these like CDL skins, and he's just talking up the game about this realistic thing, and then there's all this goofy stuff. And like that's what I don't understand is like they market this game as one thing. The actual
Yeah,
paid
yeah.
game comes out, and then it's just what are you doing? Like it's almost like a bait and switch. Like I saw the new skins coming out for Black Ops 6 multiplayer. It's like a shark dude and like a
Yeah, they're
lava
wild.
lava man, and I'm like, that's fine, but why do we have the same
I
streaks over and over? Like, why don't we have I don't know, make
mhm.
something goofy if you're gonna like it's just a mismatch of styles. But anyway, go
I
ahead.
had
Sorry.
a conversation with this about, or like when I was at Treyarch last year, and they opened the presentation by saying Black Ops 6 is about identity, and I'm like, great, like that's good news. I like to hear that. And
Mhm.
then I asked them, I'm like, um, I think it's great that you guys are focusing on the identity of the game, and I would say at this point, I mean, Black Ops 6 does have an identity. I will give it that, but I'm like, how do you plan on maintaining that throughout the year? And basically they were like, it's still important to us to maintain the identity of Black Ops 6 and what it's going for, but they said, but we know people love crazy stuff.
Mhm.
So they got to do what they got to do, I guess. Is like they would like, it sounds like they would like to retain the vision of the game, but they know that the crazy things and skins and bundles make more money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. But it's at
I
least on their radar enough to where they care. I think that they want to give the game an identity, and I think they've come a long way with doing that. So I guess we can I can ask you this. We can close on this unless there's anything else you want to talk about, Tyler. But I want to ask you, like, what do you hope COD does direction wise going forward? Like, what things would
What
you
could
like to
bring you
see done
back?
differently? Yeah, yeah. Like
get
what
back.
what
Uh,
what could they make if they, what would be the Black Ops 3 again to reel you back in? What would that look like?
um,
Stuff they'll never
So
do.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's the matchmaking is a big thing, and I'm not necessarily talking about like I don't think skill based matchmaking is necessarily bad. I think it's bad
Mhm.
when you hide it or you don't give some sort of intrinsic reward for someone who is clearly better at the game and has a worse experience.
Sure.
There's no actual reward for. I mean, I get the same unlocks as little Timmy does in his, point 0.4 KD bracket, and it's like that's not right. On top of that, the main criticism I have of Black Ops 6 is I feel like I'm sure you guys like it and stuff like that, but like I feel like the main like target of the game has been to switch. How do I put this? It's just kind of like TikTok brain rot gameplay. I'm sure
Yeah,
you've heard that a little bit, but like
yeah.
the maps are horrendous. They're too small. Spawn system's terrible. Doesn't work. And like you have the recon thing going on, which in my opinion, honest to God, it's worse than noob tubes. Worse
Agreed.
than one-man army noob tubes. It's
Agreed.
so bad. It kills an entire play style. Um, skill-based matchmaking, of course, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like sort of like a cake where it looks good on the outside. You bite into it, and it's like it's been made with salt and like dog shit as the main ingredients. Like it looks good. Once you actually dig into it, it they need to fix the foundation of the games need to be better. They always nail the gunplay. Gunplay feels great. Visuals look good. That's all. That's never been COD's issue. Because if it was, or if it wasn't, Modern Warfare 2 would be the best COD of all time.
Mhm.
It's like everything else surrounding that. Like you have the visuals, you have the gunplay, you have the production values, you have the budget. Focus on the core stuff and stop catering to the. You don't have to cater to the low skill players because they were there during Black Ops 1, just the same. They were there. They're going to be on your game if your game's good. So it just feels disingenuous. It just feels lazy. It feels sloppy. It feels catered to the lowest, you know,
Yeah.
kind of gamer out there. And I don't want to see the game become Candy Crush, the
Sure.
FPS version of Candy Crush. That's my main criticism this year is like, I feel like the
That's
gameplay
fair.
is just, yeah, really gone into this instant gratification. I feel like I'm scrolling TikTok. I feel like an algorithm. It's like the algorithm, the game. So,
Yeah,
That's
but yeah,
fair.
I
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
I quickly just want to talk about SBMM because I know we try to. It's just one of those things. It's annoying,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have noticed, and even it's my buddy that we played the other day. They got to do something like you talked about with X Defiant with the matchmaking party up. My
Hmm.
buddy sucks at Call of Duty. He literally has not played Call of Duty since Black Ops 2.
Hmm.
He's like, "Hey man, I got Game Pass. I'll download it. Let's go play a few games. I'll see what it's all about." He sent me like a picture of his gameplay prior to us playing together. He went like, 20 and 10. So excited.
Hmm.
He's like, dude, I can't wait to play. We get on. The first game, he goes 8 and 40. And I just go, I I can't ask you to play because you're just not
Yeah.
gonna play. Yeah, I wouldn't join a lobby where I was going 8 and 40 either. I would be like, all right, never mind. I'll go play by myself. And I think that's the biggest thing with gaming nowadays in multiplayer. I feel like we've
Hmm.
lost a little bit of that community that Halo 3 was so good at with Social Slayer, that BO2 was so good at. And like now it just feels like, okay, I'm in some sort of algorithm.
Hmm.
And if I invite my friends that are not very good at the game, they're going to hate their life in about 30 minutes max. And it's like, I
And
remember playing
they're
all
gonna wanna dip out and go play solo in their
in
easier
there.
bracket
Exactly.
lobbies.
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that, I don't have a problem with skill based matchmaking if I'm playing solo. I get it.
Hmm.
Okay. Sure. I don't like it, but sure. But like,
Hmm.
you got to do something about when me and my buddy, that's absolutely terrible. We want to get on and have fun and joke around and not have to put the poor guy in an 8 and 40, man. 8 and 40. I haven't played with him since. That was it. 8 and 40, and I haven't seen him since. He probably uninstalled the game. So you know what,
Yeah.
Call of Duty, if
Probably.
you're watching, listen, something to think about.
Get
It's
Tyler's
a
friend back on the game.
Get him back on the game, loosen up skill-based matchmaking for party type vibes.
it's a gaslight thing too because he might go 20-10 and think he's like, I haven't really lost a step, you know.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
Hops into your
I'm
lobbies and
telling you, he's
yeah,
texting me that like he's, you know, he's the Michael Jordan of Call of Duty, and I said, all right, cool,
yeah,
man, let's boot up then,
yeah.
and that was it. He said,
Funny,
okay, never mind.
funny thing, just to end this here, like a friend of mine who she's never played like any FPS really seriously. I'm like, try out X Defiant, it's free, right? And she plays it, and she's playing with like me and these guys who played COD for the past, 15 years. So she's bottom fragging every time, and she's just like, I feel like I'm so terrible. I'm like, no, it's good. We're carrying you. We're fine. We didn't lose the game.
Yeah,
Didn't lose. We had
and
like a
that's
10
how
match
it
win
used
streak.
to be. I mean, you remember
She ends up.
remember playing
Oh,
back in
sorry.
Black
Yeah.
Ops 1 where the dudes were on the split screen and you'd be carrying Bob 1 and Bob,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, and you would still
Yeah.
win, like you just said.
Not only that, but like she had actually quit out in a game we were winning because she's like, I'm just not doing well, and you guys are not. Like, I'm just bringing you guys down. And then the next day, I'm like, if you want to get back on, like, we could. You don't have to worry about anything. You can just focus on improving. We'll carry you. And she got back on, and like continually, I'd say now she's like probably at like a 1 KD level, but when she started, she was like at a .10. But because she stuck with it, like she's still playing it now, every now
Mm.
and then with us, because she stuck with it, and she had a role where she's just like super hard playing the objective. So she's like a dom flag capper, because she played that role, kept to it, stuck with it. Uh, like it's night and day the improvement, and I
Yeah.
don't think you will ever see that improvement as a bad player with this matchmaking. It just
Mhm.
won't happen. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
Yeah. I agree.
Interesting.
I think the growth in how you see yourself performing kind of just gets muddied because you never
Mhm.
really go against people that are better than you. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
always that 1.0 KD type vibe.
Hmm.
But Chop, you got anything else?
I think that's it for me, man. Thank you for coming on such relatively short notice. We appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, no problem. I am. I mean, I have no life, so
Hey, listen, we
I'm
all
all
Hey,
just
good.
play a
me
bunch
too,
of
man.
video games. I think that's the
Yeah, I
best
mean,
life you can have.
I was literally
Mhm.
playing a video game when you messaged me on Twitter, and I'm like, right, I'm in the same spot I'm in right now. I'm like, yeah, I can do it.
I love
So
that.
I love that, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
we
we
I
appreciate you
mean,
having you on.
for sure.
obviously we'll plug all your stuff in the description, Twitter, YouTube. I'm sure you guys follow him on YouTube at this point, but we'll have it linked below, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But thank you again for coming on. We appreciate it. Maybe one day we will see you make a video that says I love Call of Duty again. Maybe one day.
Smile
With a smiley
I
face
love
and an
Call of
arrow
Duty
Hey,
pointing
smiley
with an
face.
arrow pointing to your face and you smiling.
if they bring back, if Treyarch brings back standoff again
For the 8th time, that'll get
for
you
the
back.
eighth, standoff 24/7 for the 8th time.
That'll be the Allier thumbnail.
I thought
Yeah,
it was gonna be Nuketown. I thought that was gonna bring you back.
I played New. I mean, Newtown's good, but I played it so much. Like they bring it back every
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So
Sure.
every game. So I'm like, bring back standoff and like raid. Make that a 24/7 playlist. Say in the description, no SBMM
That'd be
and
great.
And we're back.
recons. If you use recon, you blue screen and boom. Like I'm down.
That's honestly Call of Duty. That's not that crazy of an ask.
That's not that hard. It's not that hard.
No.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for being on. Appreciate you, everybody. Leave a like if you can. The ratings on Spotify and Apple, we appreciate them. We're continuing to grow this thing. Let us know if you want to have anybody. If we want, give us some suggestions who to bring on
More guest
next.
suggestions.
Yeah. And that's it. Episode 23, aka Michael Jordan, aka Blame Truth. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.